My beloved child, before you take another step, before another thought fills your mind, I want you to breathe, slowly, and let your spirit become still before me. Because what I am about to speak to you is not merely instruction, it is invitation, it is awakening. It is the gentle opening of your spiritual ears to a voice that has never left you. You have walked through days when choices felt heavy, when clarity seemed far away, when you wondered if the path you were taking was truly mine, or simply the echo of your own heart. You have whispered in the quiet of your room, "Lord, is that you? Or is it just me? How can I know your voice in all of this noise?" And though you felt alone in those questions, I have been nearer than your own breath, not silent, only waiting for the moment when your heart would slow down enough to feel my nearness again. My child, listen. You were never meant to walk through life guessing. You were never meant to fear every decision, to question every feeling, to stand trembling at every doorway wondering if you are about to step outside my will. No, I am a shepherd, and a shepherd does not hide his voice from the ones he loves. In every confusion, in every crossroads, in every season of silence, I have been speaking. You simply have not known how to recognize me. But today, that changes. Today I take you deeper, beyond feelings, beyond fear, beyond human wisdom, into the next level of discernment, where my voice becomes familiar, consistent, steady, and unmistakably mine. Let your heart open now. Let every worry fall aside. Heaven is leaning close, and I, your God, am ready to teach you how to recognize my voice in every situation of your life. My beloved child, before you learn how to recognize my voice in every situation, you must first understand the foundation beneath it all. You can hear me because you belong to me, not because you are perfect, not because you always choose wisely, not because your faith never trembles, but because you are mine, and those who belong to me are never left without my voice. I once whispered to the world, "My sheep hear my voice. I know them, and they follow me." I did not say, "My perfect sheep," or "My strong sheep," or "My wise sheep." I simply said, "My sheep, the ones who are mine." A sheep does not recognize the shepherd's voice because it is intelligent or trained. It recognizes that voice because it has lived near the shepherd, rested near his footsteps, and learned the rhythm of his heart. In the same way, you have heard me more times than you realize. You simply did not know it was me. There were moments when a quiet peace settled into your chest. You thought it was your own strength, but that was my whisper, gently guiding you. There were moments you felt a holy discomfort, a tightening in your spirit that said, "Do not take that path." You thought it was fear, but it was my protection. There were moments a thought of compassion arrived suddenly, urging you to love, to forgive, to return to me. You assumed it was emotion, but it was my spirit, soft as the morning light. I have been speaking to you long before you learned how to listen. My voice has a unique tone that cannot be counterfeited. Where my voice is, there is peace, not panic. There is clarity, not confusion. There is holiness, not compromise. There is gentleness, not pressure. There is truth, not distortion. There is love, not control. There is healing, not shame. For I also said, "My words are spirit, and they are life." Every time you felt something in you come alive, a spark of hope, a stillness settling over chaos, a strength rising where there was none before, that was my breath in your soul. And hear me, child. You do not hear me by trying harder. You do not hear me by fearfully examining every thought. You do not hear me by striving. You hear me by drawing near. For I promised, draw near to me, and I will draw near to you. My voice grows louder as your heart grows closer. It is not distance in the heavens that has made my voice seem faint. It is the noise around your heart. But even then, I have never stopped speaking. When you were anxious, I whispered, "Fear not, for I am with you." When your strength faded, I whispered, "My grace is sufficient for you." When you doubted your worth, I whispered, "I have loved you with an everlasting love." When you felt alone, I whispered, "I will never leave you nor forsake you." When you were overwhelmed, I whispered, "Be still and know that I am God." My child, I have been weaving my voice through every part of your life, in peace, in conviction, in scripture, in stillness, in the gentle tug of your spirit, in the doors I opened, in the doors I closed. You belong to me, and because you belong to me, my voice lives within you. It is not far, it is not hidden, it is not reserved for the strong or the worthy. It is the birthright of every child who is mine. Now, I will teach you how to recognize it with confidence, with joy, with clarity, and with the peace that I promised. My peace I give to you, not as the world gives. Come closer, beloved, for the closer you come, the clearer my whisper becomes. My beloved child, there have been moments when you cried out to me, and the only answer you felt was silence. And in that silence, your heart whispered a fearful question. Lord, have you stopped speaking to me? No, my child, I have never withdrawn my voice from you. My silence does not mean absence. My quiet does not mean distance. When I am silent, I am shaping your spirit. There is a purpose in my quietness that your heart has not yet understood. For I once said, be still, and know that I am God. Stillness is not emptiness. Stillness is revelation. Stillness is where your spiritual senses awaken and learn to recognize me, beyond emotion, beyond noise, beyond expectation. You often want me to speak loudly, clearly, immediately. But, my child, if I always spoke in thunder, you would never learn to recognize my whisper. It is in the gentle silence that you learn sensitivity. It is in the pauses that you learn discernment. You see my silence as distance, but I see it as deep work, a refining, a tuning, an uncluttering of your spirit. For I also said, in returning and rest, you shall be saved. In quietness and trust shall be your strength. Do you see, beloved? Silence is where trust grows wings. When you cannot hear me, you learn to lean on what I already said. You learn to remember my promises. You learn to rest in my character. Instead of chasing constant confirmation, silence teaches you that my presence is not measured by emotion, and my voice is not proven by volume. There were moments you prayed, and the heavens felt still. But in those moments, I was rearranging your heart, removing distractions, cutting away the noise of fear, softening the soil of your soul, so that my words could take deeper root. For I spoke once again, you will seek me and find me when you search for me with all your heart. Silence awakens the wholehearted seeker. You began to seek me not for answers, but for me, not for signs, but for my presence, not for direction alone, but for communion. Beloved, silence is the place where I strengthen your discernment, so that when I whisper next, you will recognize me instantly. As a mother quiets her child, so the child can hear the softness of her voice, so I quiet your world until your spirit becomes still enough to hear mine. You ask, Lord, why do you feel far when I need you most? And I answer, I am closest in the silence. I am shaping you for clarity. I am teaching you to hear beyond sound. I am forming a discernment in you that no deception can break. For I once said, my presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. My presence is not leaving you. It is settling deeper within you. Do not fear the quiet, child. Do not run from it. Do not mistake it for abandonment. My silence is the sacred ground where your spirit learns to hear me with purity, strength, and unshakable confidence. My beloved child, there are moments in your life when things do not go as you hoped, as you planned, or as you prayed for. Plans collapse, doors close, opportunities shift, people walk away, timing changes without warning, and your heart whispers, Lord, why did you allow this? Why now? Why like this? You see interruption as disappointment, but I see it as intervention. For I once said, my thoughts are not your thoughts, and my ways are higher than your ways. You measure moments. I measure destinies. You see what is in front of you. I see what is forming inside you, and what is waiting ahead of you. My child, hear me. When I interrupt your plans, I am not punishing you. I am protecting you. Moses was not in a palace when I called him. He was in a wilderness, walking through an ordinary day, following an ordinary routine. And it was there, in the place he did not choose, in the timing he did not expect, that I set a bush on fire to interrupt his life and redirect his destiny. He turned aside and looked, That was all it took, for I also spoke. When the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, then God called to him, "Child, do you understand? I did not call Moses," until he stopped, until he turned aside, until his attention shifted from routine to revelation. My burning bushes still appear today, but they rarely look like miracles. They look like the job you didn't get, the relationship that ended day, the plans that fell apart, the door that closed, the delay you didn't want to, the change you didn't ask for. To the untrained heart, these moments look like failure. But to the discerning heart, they are holy interruptions. I interrupt what would have harmed you. I interrupt what would have distracted you. I interrupt what would have derailed the destiny I placed within you. For I said, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will guide you with my eye upon you. When your plans break, it is because my guidance is taking over. When your timing collapses, it is because my protection is activating. When people walk away, it is because I am clearing the path for what your heart cannot yet see. Beloved, you prayed for guidance, but you expected me to guide you without touching your plans. Guidance sometimes means redirection. Redirection sometimes means removal. Removal sometimes feels like loss. But in me, loss is never final. It is preparation. You said, Lord, open the right door. So I closed the wrong ones. You said, lead me into your will. So I dismantled the paths that were not mine. You said, protect me. So I shielded you from things that looked good, but were not God. My interrupts are mercy. My detours are deliverance. My pauses are protection. For I whispered, all things work together for good, for those who love me. Even the things that break you are the things that build you into who I designed you to be. So, when a plan changes, do not panic. Ask instead, Lord, is this you turning me aside towards something holy? For child, your destiny is too precious for me to let you walk blindly into harm. If I interrupt you, it is because I see what you cannot. I know what you do not, and I love you too deeply to stay silent while you walk the wrong way. Trust my interruptions. They are the fingerprints of my protection all over your life. My beloved child, there is something I must teach you gently, something that will protect your heart and sharpen your discernment. For the rest of your life, my voice is not the same as your feelings, and your feelings are not always my voice. I gave you emotions as companions, not as commanders. They are meant to feel, not to lead. For I once said, the heart is deceitful above all things, and desperately sick. Who can understand it? Emotions are like waves, beautiful, powerful, meaningful, but they rise and fall, shift and sway, move with circumstances, and change with seasons. But my voice, child, is steady, constant, unchanging, anchored in truth and holiness. There were moments when fear rose in you, and you thought it was a warning from me, but it was only the trembling of your heart. There were moments when peace came too quickly, and you assumed it was my approval, but it was only your desire comforting you. There were moments when urgency pushed you, and you thought it was my spirit, but it was only your anxiety shouting loudly. Emotions speak loudly. I speak deeply. And to discern me, you must learn to separate what comes from your feelings and what comes from my spirit. I once said, walk by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. To walk by the Spirit is to let truth lead emotion, not emotion lead truth. Listen carefully, child. Your feelings say, move now. My voice says, wait. Your feelings say, this is right, because it feels right. My voice says, test everything. Hold fast what is good. Your feelings say, this hurts. It must be wrong. My voice says, whom I love, I discipline. Your feelings say, I feel peace, so it must be me. My voice says, my peace is not the peace that comes from comfort. Many have fallen into deception, not because they rejected my voice, but because they followed their emotions and assumed I was behind them. For even Eve was deceived, because the fruit looked good, felt desirable, and seemed wise. Desire does not equal destiny. Peace does not always equal permission. Urgency does not equal direction. Discernment is the ability to say, this feels right, but is it holy? This feels urgent. But is it my spirit or my fear? This feels peaceful. But is it the peace of the world, or the peace that surpasses understanding? For I also said, let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. This peace does not come from emotions being satisfied. It comes from my spirit, bearing witness with your spirit. A deep knowing, a holy stillness, a quiet conviction, a strength without striving, a light that does not flicker. Beloved child, do not fear your emotions, but do not follow them either. Bring them to me, lay them before me, and ask, Lord, is this your voice, or simply the cry of my own heart? I will show you. I will guide you. I will align your emotions under my truth. For I am not trying to silence your heart. I am trying to sanctify it. One day, your feelings will begin to follow your faith, because your faith will be rooted in my voice, and my voice will become clearer and clearer every time you choose truth over emotion. Come to me, beloved. Let me teach you to hear, not with your feelings, but with your spirit. My beloved child, there is a mystery of my voice that many who walk with me never understand. I often speak the loudest through the things that seem the smallest. You look for me in the grand, but I hide myself in the ordinary. You wait for a sign in the sky, but I whisper through details so subtle that only a listening heart will notice. For I once said, do not despise the day of small beginnings. What looks insignificant to you may be the doorway to your destiny. Look at Ruth. She did not walk into a palace. She walked into a field. She did not seek a throne. She sought leftover grain. She did not chase purpose. She simply followed faithfulness. And yet, in that ordinary field, she found redemption, inheritance, and a place in the lineage of the Messiah. Child, greatness is often wrapped in simplicity. Look at David. He was not sent to slay a giant. He was sent to deliver bread and cheese. He did not seek battle. He simply obeyed. He did not demand recognition. He served quietly. And yet, in the simple task, his destiny found him. For I said, whoever is faithful in little will be faithful also in much. Destiny rarely announces itself. It whispers. It hides in the mundane. It waits in places you overlook. Child, you keep searching for me in the spectacular, but I am often standing inside. The small, the subtle, the ordinary. A gentle tug in your spirit. A person you keep encountering repeatedly. A small thought that won't leave. A quiet conviction. A sudden awareness of someone's need. A door that opens easily. A door that closes gently. These are the places where my voice dwells. Do not say, this is too small to be God. Do not think, this moment doesn't matter. Do not assume, this is insignificant. Beloved, nothing is insignificant when touched by my hand. For I also said, I will go before you and make the crooked places straight. The places that seem random are the places I've arranged. The moments you overlook are the moments I've ordained. Peter and John were simply walking to prayer, and they walked into a miracle at the gate. Beautiful. They had no vision, no plan, no expectation, only a willingness to stop. For I moved when Peter said, silver and gold I do not have, but what I do have I give you. Child, you keep expecting my will to appear as something magnificent, but my greatest works often enter quietly. A conversation, a delay, a small kindness, a sudden thought, a nudge to pray, a sense to pause, a whisper to forgive, a prompting to take a small step. These are burning bushes in disguise, but they do not burn with visible flame. Only discernment sees them. Listen, child, you pray for big answers, but I often begin with a small instruction. You pray for open doors, but I often begin with a quiet prompting. You pray for destiny, but I often begin with daily faithfulness. For I once said, in all your ways acknowledge me, and I will direct your paths. All your ways, not just the major ones, not just the urgent ones, even the small ones, especially the small ones, because it is in the unnoticed places that I train your spiritual eyes. It is in the small moments that I enlarge your discernment. It is in the quiet whispers that I prepare you for louder callings. Beloved, if you want to hear my voice in great things, learn to hear me in the little things. For destiny is not discovered in the dramatic, but in the faithful steps of a heart that learns to say, Lord, This moment matters. Speak, for I am listening. I am in the small, child, and if you look again, you will see me. My beloved child, there is a danger I must warn you about. Not to frighten you, but to protect you, and sharpen your discernment like a sword forged in fire. Not every voice that sounds spiritual comes from my spirit. Not every word that uses my name carries my truth. For I once warned, wolves come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly, they are ravenous. Deception rarely appears as darkness. It appears as almost light, almost truth, almost holiness. And the enemy knows, if he cannot destroy you with sin, he will attempt to deceive you with something that looks like me, but is not me. This is why discernment is not optional. It is your shield, your compass, your spiritual guardrail. For I also said, test the spirits to see whether they are from God. Child, do not test voices by how they make you feel. Do not test them by how eloquent they sound. Do not test them by how emotional they are. Do not test them by how familiar they seem. Test them by truth. Test them by fruit. Test them by holiness. Test them by my word. Even the serpent quoted scripture in the garden, but only to twist it. Even the enemy spoke truth to Jesus, but only to distort it. Truth without my spirit is still deception, and lies wrapped in partial truth are still lies. Look at the girl who followed Paul. She cried out, "These men are servants of the Most High God." Her words were correct, but her spirit was not. Paul did not discern the message. He discerned the source. And this is what I long for you to learn. Discernment is not the ability to detect what is true, but the ability to detect what is of me. Not everything true is divine. Not everything inspiring is holy. Not everything comforting is my voice. Some words soothe the emotions, while poisoning the soul. Some voices encourage your weakness, while starving your spirit. Some teachings carry charisma, but not my presence. Some people speak blessing, while carrying motives that are not mine. Child, you must learn to ask, does this draw me closer to holiness, or closer to compromise? Does this strengthen my spirit, or merely satisfy my emotions? Does this word carry the fragrance of Christ, or the flattery of man? For I once said, you will know them by their fruits, not by their tone, not by their passion, not by their charisma, not by their crowds, by their fruits, the evidence of my spirit within them, the fruit of holiness, the fruit of humility, the fruit of obedience, the fruit of repentance, the fruit of love that is pure and not self-serving. Beloved child, hear me gently. Anything that draws you away from holiness is not my voice. Anything that encourages compromise is not my voice. Anything that feeds pride is not my voice. Anything that excuses sin is not my voice. Anything that weakens your devotion to me is not my voice. For I said, be holy, for I am holy. My voice always leads upward, toward purity, toward truth, toward light, toward life, toward me. If a voice leads downward, toward confusion, compromise, self-exaltation, resentment, or spiritual laziness, that voice is not mine. My truth carries weight, but not oppression. My correction carries love, not condemnation. My guidance carries clarity, not confusion. My presence carries purity, not manipulation. Beloved child, discernment is not suspicion. It is sensitivity. Discernment is not fear. It is freedom. Discernment is not distrust. It is spiritual maturity. And I am teaching you to recognize not only what is good, but what is God. Cling to truth, and you will cling to me. For I said, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Let truth, not emotion, not people, not culture, become the anchor of your discernment. Walk in my truth, child, and my voice will shine like a lamp that no deception can overshadow. My beloved child, there is a voice inside you that often speaks louder than all the others, the voice of your own heart. And I want to teach you something tender, yet crucial for your walk with me. Your heart is precious, but it is not always pure. Your feelings are real, but they are not always right. Your desires matter, but they are not always holy. For I once said, the heart is deceitful above all things, and desperately sick. Who can understand it? Child, I did not say this to shame you, but to protect you, because many of my children follow their feelings more faithfully than they follow my voice. They mistake emotion for confirmation. They confuse relief with peace. They interpret desire as destiny. They treat excitement as guidance. They follow the loudest feeling instead of the softest whisper. But hear me, not every feeling comes from me. Not every peace is my peace. Not every open door is my will. This is why discernment is deeper than identifying outside voices. It must also discern the voice within. Look at Saul. Fear filled his heart. Pressure clouded his judgment. Emotion pushed him to act, and he disobeyed me. While believing he was doing what was right, his heart justified him, but his heart deceived him. Now look at my son in the wilderness. He was hungry, alone, weak in body. Yet every temptation appealed to something human inside him: power, provision, approval. But he answered each one with, "It is written," not, "It feels right," not, "It makes sense," not, "I want this," but, "It is written." Child, do you see? Discernment begins when your feelings bow before my word. For my word is the lamp, and your heart is the room. Light reveals what emotion hides. And again, look at David. One glance at Bathsheba, one unguarded desire, one moment of indulgence, and his entire household suffered for years. His heart felt pleasure, but his heart deceived him. Feelings are powerful, but unstable. Emotions are vivid, but fleeting. Desire is intoxicating, but dangerous when unexamined by truth. Child, listen sweetly. Discernment is not the death of emotion. It is the sanctifying of emotion. It is not the rejection of the heart. It is the purification of the heart. I want your desires, but I want them refined. I want your feelings, but I want them filtered. I want your passion, but I want it surrendered. For I once said, "Search me, O God, and know my heart." Not, "I know my heart, Lord," but, "Search me." Only in surrender does the heart become trustworthy. Even my son, in the garden of crushing, prayed, "Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass." That was his human heart speaking, honest, raw, trembling. But then came the sound of perfect discernment. "Yet not my will, but yours be done." Child, learn this sacred pattern. Feelings may speak first. Discernment must speak last. When you are tired, your heart lies. When you are lonely, your heart lies. When you are afraid, your heart lies. When you are eager, your heart lies. When you are wounded, your heart lies the loudest. But I never lie. So I ask you, bring your heart to me. Lay your emotions before me. Let me sift them, sort them, purify them, heal them. For I promised, I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. A heart that desires righteousness. A heart that recognizes truth. A heart that feels my whispers. A heart that discerns my movements. A heart that trembles at my word, yet rests in my love. Beloved child, when your heart is surrendered, I can speak through it without distortion. When your emotions bow to my truth, your discernment becomes clear. When your desires submit to my will, you will always walk the right path. Give me your heart, not just the broken parts, but the hopeful parts, the longing parts, the restless parts, the dreaming parts. Let me make it whole. Let me make it holy. Let me make it mine. Only then will you truly hear me in every feeling and every silence of your soul. My beloved child, there are doors I place before you that do not look like doors. There are assignments I give you that do not look important. There are moments I ordain for you that do not look divine. I hide destiny inside what looks ordinary. I wrap purpose inside what looks inconvenient. I plant miracles inside what looks small. For I once said, "My ways are higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." Child, you pray for open doors, but when the door opens disguised as a burden, you walk past it. You pray for breakthrough, but when the breakthrough arrives as responsibility, you overlook it. You pray for purpose, but when purpose comes, dressed as routine, you dismiss it. Listen tenderly. Divine opportunities rarely come in the wrapping you expect. Look at Ruth, a widow, a foreigner, a gleaner picking leftovers. Nothing about her day looked supernatural. Yet, I whispered through the ordinary, "Stay in this field. Walk behind these workers. Do not despise this beginning." And she stepped into the very field where her future waited for her. Child, the path to your destiny is often paved with small obediences that feel insignificant. Now look at David. He was not sent to fight. He was sent to deliver food. He was not invited to the front lines. He was carrying supplies. But hidden in that errand was a giant he was born to defeat. That battlefield was the doorway to the palace he did not seek. For I have said, a man's gift makes room for him. But child, it is often my hand that brings him into the room through tasks that seem beneath him. Look again at Peter and John. They were simply going to pray, not to perform a miracle. They were following routine, not searching for glory. Yet I placed a lame man at the gate called Beautiful on the same day. I stirred compassion within them. He asked for coins. I gave him healing. Child, hear me. Your greatest divine moments will not always feel divine. Some will feel like interruptions. Some will feel like inconveniences. Some will feel too small to matter. Some will feel like they cost you time. Some will feel beneath your gifting. Some will feel unplanned or poorly timed. But I orchestrate every intersection of obedience and opportunity. For I said, the steps of a righteous one are ordered by the Lord. Not just the big steps, not just the dramatic steps, even the boring ones, even the difficult ones, even the ones that feel like wandering. Child, you miss what I am doing. Not because I am silent, but because my movements are subtle. You look for fireworks, but I move like sunrise. You look for divine announcements, but I speak through nudge and knowing. You look for revelation, but I send routine. Listen to me. Slow down. Look again. What you call ordinary may be holy ground. What you call inconvenience may be promotion in disguise. What you call delay may be protection. What you call small may be seed. What you call coincidence may be my hand guiding you. For I once said, do not grow weary in doing good, for in due season you will reap. If you do not give up, child, your field of faithfulness is the place where I plant destiny. If I brought Ruth to a field, and David to a battlefield, and Peter to a gate, then trust me. When I bring you to small places, trust me. When I bring you to quiet assignments, trust me. When I bring you to people who seem ordinary, for my glory often waits on the other side of unnoticed obedience. And beloved, sometimes the door to your future won't look like a door until after you walk through it. My beloved child, there is something I need to open your eyes to, a truth that will transform the way you walk through conflict, resistance, and pressure. The battle you see is rarely the battle you're truly fighting. For I said, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. Your enemy is not your family, not your coworker, not your leader, not your finances, not your delays, not your circumstances. Your true battle is spiritual, invisible to the natural eye, but fully visible to mine. And because you cannot see it, child, there are moments when you misinterpret my movement as opposition and the enemy's opposition as random frustration. But hear me, discernment gives you eyes to see behind the surface of every situation. Look at Peter and Jesus. One moment Peter spoke revelation. You are the Christ. A breath later he spoke resistance. Never, Lord, this shall not happen to you. Jesus did not speak to Peter. He spoke to the Spirit influencing him. Get behind me, Satan. Not because Peter was evil, but because the enemy aimed to divert the mission through the voice of someone close. Child, discernment allows you to separate the person from the influence, the moment from the attack, the situation from the strategy. Without discernment, you will fight people instead of the Spirit behind the pressure. You will argue with what should be rebuked. You will blame what should be bound. You will retreat from what should be resisted. You will fight in the flesh instead of standing firm in the Spirit. But I once said, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. It does not say, no weapon will form. Weapons will form. People will oppose you. Circumstances will shake you. Voices will rise against you, but none of these things will prosper. When you stand in discernment, look again at Elisha's servant. He woke up seeing only the enemy army. He panicked, believing defeat was inevitable. But Elisha did not see defeat. He saw angels. He prayed, "Lord, open his eyes." And suddenly, the hills were filled with horses of fire and chariots of glory. Child, the spiritual realm is not far away. It surrounds you. You are not outnumbered. You are outsighted. Discernment restores your vision. Discernment lets you see what heaven is doing before you react to what the enemy is doing. Discernment teaches you, not every delay is demonic. Some delays are divine protection. Not every conflict is warfare. Some conflicts are classroom. Not every attack is from hell. Some pressures are preparation. Child, I am training your hands for war and your heart for peace. I want to teach you when to fight and what to fight. Some battles require silence. Some require praise. Some require waiting. Some require gentle surrender. Some require spiritual rebuke. Some require walking away. Some require standing your ground. This is why discernment matters. Because without discernment, you will be exhausted, fighting battles that are not yours. You will be discouraged by storms I designed to strengthen you. You will be intimidated by enemies already defeated. You will be distracted from the assignment I gave you. Child, hear me again. Just because something comes against you does not mean it is defeating you. Opposition is not always obstruction. Sometimes it is instruction. Sometimes it is elevation. Sometimes it is redirection. Look at Joseph. False accusations were not the end of his calling. They were the bridge to it. Look at Paul and Silas. Prison was not punishment. It was the stage for revival. Look at Job. Loss was not destruction. It was the path to restoration. Look at the cross. What looked like defeat was victory in disguise. Child, the enemy attacks what he fears. If he has targeted you, it is because heaven has marked you. So do not fear the battle. Discern it. See it for what it truly is. For I promised, I will fight for you, and you will hold your peace. Beloved, what you see as a battlefield may actually be the ground where I am forming a warrior. My beloved child, there is one more mystery I long for you to understand, a truth that will guard your steps and steady your heart. Every season of your life has a voice, and I speak differently in each one. For I once said, to everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. Child, your life is not random. Your journey is not chaotic. Your path is not accidental. You are not wandering without direction. Heaven has been writing your seasons with intentionality long before you took your first breath. But hear me. If you cannot discern the season you're in, you will misinterpret what I am doing. You will try to harvest in a season meant for planting. You will try to run in a season meant for resting. You will try to rebuild what I have torn down. You will try to resurrect what I have already buried. You will cling to people who were meant only for one chapter. You will mourn doors I intentionally closed. You will resist changes I lovingly designed. And like Israel in the wilderness, you will circle mountains you were never meant to circle. Not because I am silent, but because you did not discern the season. Child, listen carefully. My presence moves in rhythms. My voice moves in seasons. Look at the Israelites. When the cloud lifted, they moved. When the cloud rested, they stayed. The cloud did not explain itself. It did not give a schedule. It simply shifted, and those who watched it walked in step with heaven. This is discernment. Not asking, why is this happening? But asking, what season is this? Consider this. There is a season for pruning, a season for planting, a season for watering, a season for waiting, a season for rising, a season for releasing, a season for resting, a season for running. But if you misread the season, you will try to hold on to what I am asking you to release. You will try to speed up what I am slowing down. You will try to repair what I am removing. You will try to revive what I have already ended. Child, I am too wise to confuse you and too loving to withhold clarity. What you call a dry season may be a season where I am strengthening your roots. What you call delay may be a season where I am protecting your future. What you call silence may be a season where I am deepening your hearing. What you call loss may be a season where I am pruning you for increase. For I once said, "Be still and know that I am God." Stillness is not the absence of movement. It is the presence of alignment. Even Jesus moved by seasons. At one moment, he said, "My time has not yet come." And later, "The hour has come." He lived by divine timing, not human pressure. Child, you must learn to do the same. Discernment is not just hearing my voice. It is understanding my timing, my pace, my rhythm, my seasons. Some of the confusion in your life exists because you are comparing your season to someone else's. But I have not called you to walk their path. I have not given you their assignment. I have not written for you their timeline. When you compare seasons, you lose clarity. When you compete in seasons, you lose peace. When you resist seasons, you lose growth. But when you discern seasons, you move with grace. You rest without guilt. You rise without fear. You release without regret. You wait without anxiety. You obey without hesitation. Child, I want to whisper this to your heart. No season you have walked through has been wasted. Not one. Even your painful seasons carried purpose. Even your quiet seasons carried instruction. Even your waiting seasons carried preparation. Even your grieving seasons carried transformation. I redeem every season for your good and for my glory. For I said, He makes all things beautiful in its time. And now, beloved, I am inviting you to trust me with the season you are in. Let go of yesterday. Stop fearing tomorrow. Stand present with me in this moment. Ask me, Lord, what is this season for? Lord, what are you forming in me right now? Lord, what are you asking me to release? Lord, what are you preparing me to receive? For when you discern your season, your vision clears, your spirit steadies, and your steps align with heaven. And you will realize, I have been leading you every hour, every season, every step, even when you did not see me. My beloved child, you have walked with me through these revelations, through voice, through silence, through signs, through battles, through opportunities, through the hidden corners of your own heart. And now I want you to hear my final whisper for this journey. You were never meant to walk blindly. You were created to walk with me. Discernment is not a gift for a few. It is a birthright for every child who leans close enough to hear my breath. For I once said, my sheep hear my voice, and they follow me, not because they are perfect, but because they are mine. Child, every moment you have ever cried, I heard. Every moment you felt confused, I saw. Every time you said, Lord, is this you? I was already nearer than your own heartbeat. Discernment is not about striving to decode my will. It is about resting in my presence. It is not about chasing signs. It is about knowing my nature. It is not about mastering direction. It is about trusting the shepherd. And hear this, you are not behind. You have not missed my voice. You have not ruined my plan. You have not wandered too far. If you could see how closely I have walked beside you, how I have redirected you, protected you, whispered to you, carried you, your heart would melt under the weight of my mercy. Child, your journey with discernment is not ending here. It is beginning. From this day forward, you will notice things you once ignored. You will feel nudges you once dismissed. You will hear me in moments you once called ordinary. You will recognize peace as your compass. You will sense caution before you take a wrong step. You will walk into rooms and know what is beneath the surface. You will feel my no before danger reaches you. You will feel my yes before doors open. For I promised, if anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask, and it will be given. You have asked, and I have answered. So let me leave you with this blessing. May your ears grow sensitive to the whisper of my spirit. May your eyes grow sharp to see what heaven is doing. May your heart stay soft to my gentle corrections. May your spirit remain fearless in the face of deception. May your steps be steady in every season I lead you into. And above all, may you never forget that I am with you, even to the end of the age. Walk with me, child. I am not finished speaking. I am just beginning. My beloved friend, if this message stirred something inside you, if your spirit awakened, if you felt the gentle pull of God's voice drawing you closer, then don't let this moment pass. There are messages God has prepared for you, words that will guide you, warnings that will protect you, and truths that will anchor you in the days ahead. So I invite you, subscribe not to a channel, but to the voice that is shaping you, like not for algorithms, but so this word reaches someone who is crying out to hear God again. Share not as content, but as a seed of hope, planted into someone's wilderness. When you engage, you help build a digital sanctuary, a place where the lonely are comforted, the confused are guided, and the hungry hear the voice of the shepherd. You are a part of this work. Your small action becomes a doorway through which God can speak to another soul. So before you go, whisper this: Lord, keep my ears open, and return again, because the journey of discernment is just beginning, and God has more to say to you.